It's a great privilege to have with us here Anna Diamantopoulou, a seasoned Greek politician. You have worked at the national level as a minister, but also you were a commissioner in Brussels. So you have looked at life from several sides. And it is our privilege to discuss a very serious issue, the refugee crisis in Europe. So in the refugee crisis, there was a milestone earlier this spring. There was an agreement between the European Union and Turkey. What is your assessment of that deal?
It was a very difficult agreement, and we have to keep it in mind when we criticize it. But there are 2 points. The first one is that there are problems with the human rights, and this is a problem from the European legacy. And the second one is that I'm afraid that what Turkey and Erdogan himself wants from this agreement is the visa issue. But it's so difficult to have the visa because all preconditions are not in place. So what I am afraid is that if Erdogan does not have the visa, then he will open again the borders, and it will be a real disaster for Europe and for Greece, of course.
In our session, you said that we need a border control and a fair distribution also over the other countries in Europe. How realistic is it when you look at it from your experience in heading the employment department in the European Commission?
It's not easy, but I think that in cases of crisis, and so big crisis, and in order to avoid future crises, we have to strike the balance between incentives and sanctions. So with a combination of measures, a combination between the size of the country, the population, and the economic ability, we can agree on numbers that can be accepted of each country. And in case that there are countries who do not want to accept any refugees, I think there are 2 possibilities. The first one is to finance, to give money instead of that to a fund, to a European fund, or if they decide neither to contribute financially nor to accept any refugees, in this case there must be sanctions.
And when it comes to the acceptance of such a policy among the European citizens, would you see a risk of a growing Euroscepticism?
Euroscepticism is already here, and I think that the mainstream political parties have played a main role in this for years because they very easily blamed Europe for everything. And now, when things are very difficult, Europe is the scapegoat. I used to say that Europe is the big guy that we love to hate. But now the rise of extremism and populism in the right and in the left in many countries is something which will easily could lead us to close the borders and to come back to the national sovereignty.
What would be your main call for politicians to do nowadays?
There is not even one member state who can deal with the economic situation, with the economic competition, with the refugee issue, with the foreign affairs issue, the geopolitical crisis. So we need to be together. So more Europe in all levels.
And what will be your sign of hope for the next generation?
I think that this will be the most qualified generation that Europe ever had. So I hope that this will be the generation for peace, education, innovation, and prosperity.
Anna Diamantopoulou, thank you very much.
Thank you.